We are now going to go into back into technocracy. If you recall, on Monday or Tuesday, I covered a technocracy magazine that was from the 1930s, a movement created by someone named Howard Scott, who kind of started the entire movement in the 1800s. The idea being that government should be run by mathematicians and scientists, and that everybody should be converted to a governmental system where your energy as a human being has an equivalency to energy bucks. And your energy bucks are paid out to you over the course of your lifetime. So back then in the 1930s, it was proposed that everybody could make a universal basic income of $20,000 a year. And you would just be directed, you would be assigned particular tasks within society based on your energy capability. We covered that magazine. You can go back. It's only a few episodes ago, 82 or something, 80, 83. I don't know. I can't remember which one exactly, but it was a very recent one. We covered that. Like I said, it's going to be a slow burn, but this is going to be very interesting to you. Today is going to be a mind-blowing episode as we continue into Technocracy Part 2. I think some of you might be shocked as to where this leads. So we're going to take it one step further. And so that was what happened in the 1930s. There was the technocracy movement, the Technocracy Incorporated, the Technocracy magazine. Then they kind of fell out of favor, particularly just before, I believe it was either shortly before or shortly after the Second World War. And then they kind of like came back a bit and then down and then back a bit and down. So we're going to focus in on one particular individual. Let me pull up the article. That one. Hang on. I don't think I have the right one. It's this one. Yes. So we're going to talk about an individual named Joshua Haldeman. Joshua Haldeman was part of the Canadian Chiropractic Association. Oh, Canada. What's up, hot dog? Thanks for the follow just now. I appreciate it. Now, the reason why he got into the chiropractic practice is because I believe his wife or some close family member was suffering from diabetes, and they got into the practice of being a chiropractic because they thought that it would help them with their diabetes. So this is the strongest official document that I can find, because this comes from NIH, National Library of Medicine. It comes from NIH itself, because he was part of the National Library of Medicine as having been a chiropractor. So this journal confirms that he was a chiropractor, and that he had particular associations. So it talks about his history, yada yada. Okay, he was a graduate of the Palmer School of Chiropractic. He maintained a long-time friendship with B.J. Palmer. He had strong alliances with broad-scope leaders in Canada and the U.S. He would practice chiropractic in Regina for at least 15 years. He was on the province's first board of examiners and the Provincial Society's first executive board. A province is equivalent to a American state, okay? So we have provinces up here in Canada, okay, along with our meese, igloo, and maple syrup. He was a member of the Dominion Council. He fought for He fought for inclusion of chiropractors as commissioned officers during the Second World War. He participated in the formation of the Canadian Memorial Chiropractic College, which he subsequently served as a member of the first board of directors. He earned a place in the political history of Canada owing to his service as a research director for, what's this? Wait, what's this? What was he the research director of? Technocracy Incorporated, Canada. His national chairmanship of the Social Credit Party during the Second World War, and his unsuccessful bid for the national parliament. His vocal opposition to communism, which is different than socialism and social credit, I would like to state, there is a delineation. His vocal opposition to communism during the war briefly landed him in jail. His 1950 relocation of his family and practice to Pretoria, South Africa, would open a new page in his career, once again as a professional pioneer, but also as an aviator and explorer. Although he died in 1974, the values he instilled in his son, Scott Haldeman, continue to influence the profession. Let's dig in a little bit, shall we? This is another piece of evidence, the strongest piece of evidence that I can find. This comes from an autobiography done by a chiropractic association who went back through the history of Joshua Haldeman. It's the next best piece of evidence that I can find that this background on him is true. This is from 1940, June 26. This is a signed statement from police magistrate's clerk from Haldeman's papers. His Majesty the King and Joshua Norman Haldeman. The following is a true copy of the advertisement appearing in the Leader Post Regina, Wednesday, June 26, 1940, out of which 3 charges against Joshua Normal Haldeman. This is a typo. That should be Norman. Statement of patriotism by those who were technocrats. The political government of Canada, by order in council, has declared Technocracy Inc. to be an illegal organization. This action was unjustified and unwarranted and can be classified as a tactical political blunder. Technocracy Inc. from its inception has been unequivocally opposed to a word I can't say, fascism and communism. On September 5, 1939, technocrats all over Canada wired Prime Minister Mackenzie King that they stood ready to defend Canada from any alien attack. Following the issue of Technocracy's General Regulations on Home Defense on June 1st, which was published in most newspapers, technocrats all over Canada contacted the RCMP, the city police, and the military authorities offering their services in any capacity required for the defense of Canada. Those who were members of Technocracy Inc. as loyal Canadian citizens will continue to render full support of the defense program of the Dominion of Canada. Technocracy Inc. was the outstanding patriotic organization in Canada. Therefore, those who were its members must view the present action of the political government as an attempt at subversive sabotage of a national patriotic organization, unless this action is immediately rescinded. What was this action that landed him in jail? Police hold technocrat Haldeman. Vancouver, October 8th. Royal Canadian Mounted Police officials announced here Monday the arrest of Dr. Joshua N. Haldeman, wanted by Regina authorities on a charge laid under the Defense of Canada regulations of being a member of an illegal organization. He is being held here awaiting an escort from Regina to take him back to the Saskatchewan city. Dr. J. N. Haldeman, arrested in Vancouver, was head of the Regina branch of Technocracy Incorporated, outlawed by Ottawa after the outbreak of a war as an illegal organization. Dr. Haldeman had practiced in Regina as a chiropractor for a number of years. So it is at this point that we can confirm it is absolutely beyond reproach to make the statement that he was in the technocratic movement. And as a matter of fact, I'm not sure if I can find the reference here, but there was a minor reference to a relationship that he had with Howard Scott, because he basically carried the technocratic movement from Howard Scott in the United States and essentially brought it into Canada and carried it forward. He was a heavy believer in it. And some of his chiropractic beliefs somewhat resembled the technocratic belief systems that we went over in that magazine, summarized in that magazine. Now, why am I talking about him? Well, as you know, he decided to leave Canada and he moved to South Africa. His decision to move to South Africa in 1950 was based partly on political protest and a desire for adventure, a hope to advance chiropractic in a new country, and the search for a country where his family could be raised in an environment with high moral standards. Then he becomes an aviator, a pilot, and an explorer. And then his son, Scott Haldeman, becomes a prominent chiropractic and medical researcher, taking a lot of, what would you say, teachings from his father. And so you can see they have a boy, Scott, age 7, Edith Lynn, age 5, and twin daughters, Almeida Kaye, I think it's Kai or Kay, and Winifred May, age 2 years. Let's go back to a little bit of the technocracy stuff that we covered before, I just want to bring up like one thing. Where is it here? We're going to bring up the Technocrat magazine. I'm going to bring this up here like this. Okay, so here you go. And so you can see in the 1930s, the technocratic movement believed that robots, which had brains, robots that have brains, much like the AI movement today, would give you a bloodless revolution where the robots would generate work that would be directed in accordance with what human energy could generate. Just like AI is being pushed today, they make very many of the same arguments. Like I said, go back to, I believe it's episode 82. I can't remember. It's a very recent episode. We go over this article. It's absolutely mind-boggling how much overlap there is today between the technocratic movement and the code, the tech industry in general, and AI in general. I'm going to point you to something. Let me change camera. I promise this has a link. Just hang on there. Okay, here we go. Here is the Technocracy Study course. You can find this on archive.org. And if you go through this course, which I've read almost in full, not quite in full, but they talk about all kinds of stuff. If you look at the table of contents, this is typically what would happen. You'd study this in order to become involved in the technocratic movement. They go over units of measurement, laws of thermodynamics, engines, matter, energy and human history, mineral resources, the flow of money, the pricing system, growth curves, nature of the human animal, etc. And essentially what they describe here is a series of scientific reasons why a human being is no different than an animal. All you are is a series of stimuluses that impact your decision-making ability. So you're not a free will agent. You're a machine, much like animals are a machine. And one of the reasons why they concluded that that's the case, I believe. Let me go and look at. I'll see if I can find the exact search term. Okay, I can't find it. I'm going to paraphrase. You can see that people are just stimuli machines because people like to hold on to their principles. They like to hold on to good and bad, especially Christians. But if you put a Christian in a situation where they are hungry and poor and destitute, and either they or their family members are going to die because they don't get food, you will see that a lot of those principles and beliefs suddenly wash away, and they start to resort to all kinds of bad acts in order to save their own lives or the lives of people they care about. Therefore, humans are actually no different than animals. And the reason why we think of ourselves as reasoning agents who are beyond the animal kingdom is because we are looking only intrinsically, and we exclude the fact that there's a massive overlap between us and animals and our behaviors. And so we look at the fact that we are able to look at our own reasoning abilities and go, we reason, therefore we are reasoning agents. Because we reason, therefore we are reasoning agents. And it's this circular argument. This is the argument that they make in this study course as to what humans actually are, which then goes back to, well, now we have energy bucks. So here, let me just go up here, literally right here. Now your energy can be $20,000 a year in 1930s money, and the robot hands you energy bucks. They belong only to you. Only you can use them. You can't hoard them. Your kids can't inherit them, etc. Because everything ultimately is just inputs, outputs. Remove all bureaucracy, remove diplomats, remove federal agencies. All you need are mathematicians and scientists. You can quantify everything in the world, and then they go over the laws of thermodynamics in here. So for example, you can make a quantifiable measurement of how much energy a waterfall would produce, things like this. And so because everything is quantifiable and has a lower limit and an upper limit, you can define all of that and operate the entirety of society in this way. They also state something else that leads back to Joshua Haldeman. This is the eminent domain of a new social order. They call it the technate of America. These are all the countries that would have to be taken over in conglomerate in order to create the new technocracy system appropriately. You will note that the entirety of South America is included. The entirety of North America is included, including Canada, and also Greenland. Let me show you the Technate map. This comes from the University of Cornell, I believe. There it is. This is from Cornell University. This is a map taken out of one of the books that the technocratic movement created back in the, I believe this is post-1940s, I want to say. So you can see Greenland, you can see all of North America here, all of America, all of South America. All of this has to be all eminent domain. I'm going to pull up a few search results. And if you have the eyes, pay attention. What programmers don't seem to understand is that programming is not this new novel thing that's only happened in the last 10 to 20 years. Technology in and of itself has existed for a long time. As a matter of fact, programming kind of started out with the loom machine. Yes, hopefully I get this right. I have it up somewhere else, but there's a loom machine that was created in the early 1800s, which was literally a punch card for textile manufacturing. What has been going on for a long time, along with programming and technology and this notion that everything must be systematically controlled by a machine with a brain, including the current generation of AI, that has been going on for a long time. And we now have the first strand of several, which I'm going to go over. Haldeman, who worked with Howard Scott on this movement, they were contemporaries and partners in this movement, who believed that the eminent domain of technocracy would include Greenland and Canada, was the grandfather of Elon Musk. And Elon Musk supported greatly Trump's plan to make Canada the 51st state and to take over Greenland. What people, and particularly in the programming space, do not understand. This field has been captured by people who do not share the same values that you do, and it was captured a long time ago, before any of us were born, and it continues to be captured. And all it does is reinvent itself over and over again. And we're going to go over exactly how it reinvents itself. You guys want Goomba? Sure. It's not even a conspiracy theory. It's simply not a conspiracy theory, because I have not even gone into Trump and how Trump is connected to this technocratic movement, but in a very roundabout way. I haven't even gotten into that. And the point isn't to talk about conspiracy theories. That's not really the point here. If that's what you think this is, if you think this is me talking about conspiracy theories, then you need to open up your eyes and ears and pay attention. What I'm talking about is the very nature of code itself, the very nature of machines itself, and the people behind this movement who have existed long before you and I were born, and how they continue to use it. And we are first line of defense against this kind of movement. What people don't understand when they support AI is that they are literally supporting the technocratic movement. That's what these people don't get. AI hypists, cultists are supporting this. They are supporting the technocratic movement that came out of the 1930s. And when you support AI grok waifu machines, and when you support certain types of programming paradigms, and when you support your feelings over actual programming systems, and when you pass the buck on to consumers who are then beaten over the head with this and they go, well, it's as good as it gets, and so on and so forth and so on, you are supporting this movement. You just don't know you are, because you don't understand the history and the power. You have to think about it this way. At the very least, as is recorded in documented history, as far back as the 1930s, there were at least a few people who understood the future path of technology and the amount of power it would have over individuals and nations combined. That means the code you generate today, like I've said so many fucking times now, if you are operating a cat website, you don't get to scapegoat your responsibilities just because it's a cat website. You have an immense amount of power that people long before, when you weren't even a spermazoid in your dad's ball sack, your dad was a spermazoid in his dad's ball sack. And those people realized the power that you would have today building that stupid ass cat website. This 51st state, Greenland, Elon Musk, but not just this. Programming as a whole is a dual-edged sword. And there are people out there who want to use it, to wield it for the things they think you are. And to those people, you are nothing more than a machine. And they would like to run you as such. And boy, oh boy, do I have articles where this has actually been attempted in terms of implementation. Yes, this technocratic society has been implemented in the past around the world and continues to be implemented today. This is why it's critical as well for consumers to understand why they have to vote with their dollar. One, you don't have to accept the current state of crap in the tech industry, video games, etc. Two, you have to understand that technology is a massive nuclear level ideological battleground which has existed for over a century. Stop paying into the bad portions of it. And when you support these things, you're hurting yourself. That's why I do these streams, because I hope both programmers and consumers alike understand what's really going on here. You have to understand the history of your field in order to understand why games are being played, why people are manipulating you, and the very way you even write code. That's how deeply ingrained this ideology is. Don't you think it's kind of weird that Trump nobody else before him said anything about Greenland? When was the last time you ever heard anybody in America say anything about taking over Greenland? Canada, I mean, that's an ongoing joke, because what would we do? We'd ride out on our meese, and whatever. Of course, that's a joke, right? But Greenland, where did that come from? Doesn't that seem weird? It kind of came out of the blue that Trump would just suddenly say that? Isn't it also weird that he's kind of stopped talking about it since he and Elon are on the outs? Isn't that a little strange? And then you look at the history of the technocratic movement and who Elon Musk's grandfather was, and you go, huh, now it's not so out of the blue, is it? Now it's not so out of the blue. And it makes you think.